Dear friends, the spectacular season of Advent opened last Sunday with Jesus' call to us to be awake, to be aware, to be on the lookout for the signs of salvation. I say spectacular season quite intentionally. Advent is so often run over in our time, overlooked and has been for most of my adult life, run over and flattened by the experience of most Americans, the onslaught of Christmas sounds and sights long before Christmas itself has arrived. And yet, this season of Advent in itself truly is spectacular. Focusing our attention forward to the coming of Christ, coming in completion, coming in judgment, this first thrust of the season says something vitally important to you and I. It is crying out in the desert of the present that we have a responsibility to the future. We have a responsibility to be attentive to what is coming in the days ahead, in the church, in society, in our common culture. And we have a duty to place our hand in the wounded hand of Jesus Christ and accept that future together, precisely by helping to shape it. Pointing our attention back toward a stable in a small Judean town, which was at that time, and still is today, a town that knows division and more than its share of trouble. This season also reminds us of the gifts that have already been afforded us, the gifts that remain, the gift of Jesus, the Christ. Advent reminds us that in the past there has been much good, and that there is hope for the same in the days to come. Two all-time favored voices of mine bring forward blessed aspects of this season. One is Frederick Buechner, Presbyterian pastor and author, who reflects on the first Christmas evening through the eyes of the innkeeper of Bethlehem. That unnamed businessman speaks of how difficult it is to be truly aware of the wonder of the ordinary in daily life. Buechner writes, and the innkeeper says, "Life becomes like being lost in a forest of 1,000,000 trees, until finally we have eyes for nothing else, and whatever we see turns into a thing." He speaks honestly of the birth that took place in his inn that night, in his own absence and indifference. "When the baby came, I was not there. I was lost in the forest somewhere, the unenchanted forest of 1,000,000 trees. So when the baby came, I was not around, and I saw none of it. As for what I heard, just at that moment itself of birth, when nobody turns into somebody, I do not rightly know what I heard, but this I do know, my own true love. All your life long, you wait for your true love to come. We, all of us do, our destiny, our joy, our heart's desire. So now, what am I to say, gentlemen? When he came, I missed him. Pray for me, brothers and sisters. Pray for the innkeeper. Pray for me and for us all, my own true love." The second voice is Cardinal Carlo Martini, scripture lover and scholar extraordinaire, retired Archbishop of Milan, who writes of the desire for truth. "We're all seeking truth, and so am I," the Cardinal writes. "We desire truth, we look for it, we ask for it, we want it at many moments of our life. And if I had to explain this search, I would explain it, at least in my case, principally as a desire for authenticity. Before the Lord, I want to be authentic, and that means I want a correspondence between my words and my actions, a correspondence between promises and the execution of promises, a correspondence between what, through the grace of God, we want to be, what we seek to be, and what we force ourselves to be in daily life. We desire the truth. We desire authenticity. I seek, O Lord, a truth which springs like water, is simple as bread, clear as light, and powerful as life. These two, the innkeeper and the cardinal, reveal themselves in these words as seekers for love and for truth. I wonder, what are your desires and mine this Advent season? What are we seeking as individuals and as members of the community of the Church? However our desires might be specified, and specified they must be, we likely will not do better than to follow these two as searchers for true love and loving truth. Live this spectacular season boldly into the next. With Advent blessings, I'm John McGinty, Acting Director of the Church in the 21st Century Center at Boston College.